What's up, YouTube? I'm doing a story time with this book called Who's Jane Goodall? A Who Was Board book by Lisbeth Kaiser and art by Stanley Chow. Let's get started. Okay, Jane Goodall, and this is when she's young. Wow. This is when she's young. Likely on the 30s or the 40s. The 40s. Okay, this is her with her monkey plushie. As a child, Jane Goodall loved being outside more than anywhere else. Outside, she could climb trees and watch animals and be free. Outside, she felt at home. Jane felt that if she waited for a long time, quietly and calmly, the animals around her would feel at home, too. And then Jane could see what they were really like. Everything she saw filled her with questions. How? Why? What for? When Jane wasn't watching animals, she was reading about them. Wow, this book was called Dr. Dolittle, and all the movies were named after the book. She once read a story about someone who worked with wild animals in Africa. She dreamed about going there herself, living among wild animals and writing books about them. It kind of looks like in the 50s and the 60s where it happened there. Jane worked hard and saved her money. When she was 22, she bought herself a ticket to Kenya and Africa. There, she met a scientist who was also interested in animals, and he had just a job for someone as patient and curious as Jane to learn about wild chimpanzees in Tanzania. This looks like a background of The Lion King. Jane set up her camp at the edge of a large forest. Every day, from sunrise to sunset, she watched and listened for chimpanzees. But when she found them, they always ran away from her. After almost a whole year of waiting quietly and calmly, it happened. The chimpanzees didn't run from her. They felt at home with Jane and let her watch them as they played and fought and took care of their babies. That's so cute. And to her amazement, Jane saw them make tools to get food. No one had ever seen this before. It was a huge discovery. Wow. Look at this. That's crazy. As Jane got to know the chimps, she gave them all names like Flo, Fifi, and David Greybeard. She wrote down everything she saw them do and the questions she had. How? Why? What for? Jane shared her discoveries about them by writing articles and books. Soon, people all around the world began to learn about Jane and her chimps. They were surprised to find out that chimps are so much like people. They can feel happy, sad, and angry, and they even kiss and hug each other. That's so beautiful. National Geographic. Jane's discoveries changed what we know about animals. At the young age of 27, she became one of the most important scientists that ever lived, but her work didn't stop there. Jane realized that the animals she loved needed her help. She began traveling the world to show people how to treat animals better and take care of the places where they lived. Over 50 years later, Jane is still one of the greatest known protectors of the earth, the home that all living creatures share. Look, this is when she was old. Jane Goodall was raised in England. She was happiest outside and was fascinated with animals, inspired by stories of Tarzan and Dr. Dolittle. Jane set her mind on going to Africa to live among wild animals. When she was 22, she sailed to Kenya and got a job with the famous researcher named Louis Leakey. He thought that chimpanzees might be a lot like people, and that Jane was the right person to find out. He asked her to go and study wild chimpanzees in Tanzania. Camping in the forest with the chimps was a dream come true for Jane, but it was hard work. For months, she followed them around without learning very much, but eventually they accepted her and let her watch them closely. What she saw changed the world. Jane learned that chimpanzees are a lot like people. They have feelings and personalities, eat all kinds of foods, and make and use tools. With these new discoveries, Jane became a very famous scientist and began writing and traveling, share what she had learned. When she realized that chimpanzees and their forests were disappearing, Jane became an activist to teach people how to take better care of animals in the environment. The end. A scientist, an animal rights activist, and conservationist, and that's it. That's it for the story time, and that's it. Bye.